A man risks everything to save a stranger only to lose his job, his stability, and the life he knew. But fate had other plans, and the woman he rescued would rewrite his future in ways he never imagined. This is a story about sacrifice, second chances, and the unexpected bonds that heal us. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. Stories like this remind us of the power of human connection, and you won't want to miss what happens next. The sacrifice. The rain fell in relentless sheets over Chicago, turning the city into a blur of neon reflections and slick pavement. Ethan Carter pulled his jacket tighter around his shoulders, his boots splashing through puddles as he walked. Another late night at the construction site, another paycheck that barely stretched far enough. At 32, he had expected more from life, but bills didn't pay themselves, and dreams didn't put food on the table. He turned down a quieter side street, the usual shortcut to his cramped studio apartment. The rhythmic drumming of rain against the pavement was almost soothing, a stark contrast to the constant noise of drills and shouting at work. His phone buzzed in his pocket, another missed call from his foreman, probably about tomorrow's safety inspection. He ignored it. He'd deal with it in the morning. Then he heard it, a sharp gasp, followed by a muffled groan. Ethan stopped mid-step, his breath fogging in the cold air. The sound had come from the alley to his left, a narrow, dimly lit space between two brick buildings. His instincts screamed at him to keep walking. Chicago alleys at night were no place for good Samaritans. But then another sound cut through the rain, a weak, ragged voice. Help! The word was barely audible, but it rooted him in place. Against every ounce of self-preservation, Ethan turned toward the alley. His pulse pounded in his ears as he stepped into the darkness, the scent of damp concrete and garbage filling his nose. Then he saw her, a woman, no, a soldier. Even in the dim light, he recognized the military jacket, the short-cropped hair, the rigid posture despite the way she was slumped against the dumpster. One hand pressed tightly against her side, the other gripping a combat knife, knuckles white. Blood seeped between her fingers, dark and slick against her olive-green shirt. Her head snapped up as he approached, her eyes locking onto his with a ferocity that made him freeze. For a second, neither of them moved, then her grip on the knife loosened, just slightly. You, civilian, she rasped, her voice strained. Ethan swallowed hard. Yeah, are you? Stabbed, she cut in, her breath hitching. Didn't see the second guy. Without thinking, Ethan dropped to his knees beside her, shrugging out of his flannel shirt. He pressed it against her wound, ignoring the way her whole body tensed at the contact. Hold this, he ordered, guiding her hand to the makeshift bandage. She didn't flinch, just nodded, jaw clenched. Ethan fumbled for his phone, dialing 911 with shaking fingers. The operator's voice was calm, methodical, but all he could focus on was the way the woman's breathing was getting shallower. Hang on, he muttered, more to himself than to her. Just hang on. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. The woman's eyelids fluttered, but she forced them open, her gaze sharp despite the pain. Name, she demanded. Ethan Carter. She gave a single, curt nod. Leah Monroe. Then, quieter, thanks for stopping. The paramedics arrived in a flurry of motion, pushing Ethan aside as they loaded Leah onto a stretcher. He stood there, soaked and numb, watching the ambulance doors close behind her. Then a voice cut through the chaos. Carter. Ethan turned. His foreman, Mark, stood a few feet away, arms crossed, face unreadable under the glow of flashing lights. You were supposed to prep for the inspection, Mark said, his voice low. Instead, you're out here playing hero. Ethan opened his mouth to explain, but the words died in his throat. The look on Mark's face said it all. Don't bother coming in tomorrow, Mark said, turning away. We need guys who show up. The rain kept falling as Ethan stood there, the weight of what just happened crashing down on him. He'd lost his job. For what? For a stranger he might never see again. His phone buzzed. An unknown number. He answered, and a deep, authoritative voice spoke. "Mr. Carter, this is Captain Diaz, the woman you saved. She's asking for you." Ethan's breath caught. What had he just gotten himself into? The revelation. Ethan stood frozen outside the VA hospital, the weight of Captain Diaz's words still ringing in his ears. "She's asking for you." Why, he had done nothing extraordinary, just acted on instinct. Now, jobless and uncertain, he hesitated before pushing through the glass doors. The sterile scent of antiseptic filled his lungs as he approached the front desk. "Leah Monroe's room?" he asked, his voice rough from lack of sleep. The nurse eyed him, his rain-damp clothes, the dark circles under his eyes before nodding toward the elevators. "Third floor, room 312. The ride-up was silent. Ethan's mind raced. Was this about gratitude? A thank you before they both moved on. The door slid open, and he followed the numbered signs until he stood outside her room. He knocked once. Softly, "Come in." Her voice was stronger than he remembered. Ethan stepped inside, and there she was, Leah Monroe, propped up in bed, her sharp hazel eyes tracking his every move. The harsh hospital lighting washed out her olive skin, but it couldn't dull the intensity in her gaze. Bandages peeked out from beneath her hospital gown, a stark reminder of the alley. "You came," she said. No smile, just observation. Ethan shoved his hands in his pockets. "Captain Diaz said you wanted to see me." Leah studied him for a long moment, then gestured to the chair beside her bed. "Sit." He did. Uneasily, "You lost your job," she stated. Ethan stiffened. "How?" "I had you looked into," she said it matter-of-factly, as if rifling through a stranger's life was perfectly normal. "Construction foreman. No family. Decent credit. And now unemployed because of me." Ethan exhaled sharply. "Not your fault. My boss was just looking for an excuse." Leah's fingers tapped against the bedroll, a steady, restless rhythm. "Maybe. Or maybe he was covering his ass." Ethan frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" Leah leaned forward slightly, wincing at the movement, but powering through. "That wound wasn't random. I was targeted." A chill crawled up Ethan's spine. "By who?" "Ever heard of Vexen Corp?" The name clicked. Ethan's company had done contract work for them last year, a high-rise downtown. "They're one of our clients. Or were," he corrected bitterly. Leah's lips thinned. "Then your boss fired you for more than just missing an inspection." Ethan's pulse spiked. "You're saying Vexen's involved in this?" Leah's gaze didn't waver. 3 weeks ago, my unit intercepted a human trafficking ring in Iraq. We found documents linking back to them shell companies, offshore accounts. I started digging. Next thing I know, I'm accidentally discharged, and two guys jump me in an alley." She paused. "You saved my life before they could finish the job." Ethan's stomach twisted. This was bigger than he'd imagined, bigger than a lost paycheck. "So what now? You report it." Leah barked a laugh, dry and humorless. "To who?" "The guys who let this happen." She shook her head. "I need evidence. And I can't get it alone." The unspoken ask hung between them. Ethan stiffened. "You want my help. You've got nothing to lose," she pointed out. "And you've already proven you don't run from a fight." Ethan stood abruptly, pacing to the window. The city sprawled below, oblivious. "This isn't some construction site, Leah. These people stabbed you." "What happens if they come after us?" Leah's voice dropped, steel beneath the quiet. "Then we make sure they regret it." Ethan turned. The determination in her eyes was terrifying and magnetic. A knock at the door made them both tense. A nurse entered, carrying a tray of meds. Leah's demeanor shifted instantly, her posture relaxing into something more benign. "Thanks, Doc," she said lightly. The nurse left, and the mask fell away. "Well?" Leah asked. Ethan exhaled. He was out of work, out of options. And if what she said was true, walking away meant letting criminals win. "Where do we start?" Leah's smirk was razor thin. "First, you're gonna need a burner phone." That night, Ethan's apartment was too quiet. He sat on his couch. Leah's words were playing in his head. Vexen, trafficking, Cover up. It felt surreal. His phone buzzed a text from an unknown number. Leah, check your door. Frowning, he stood and peered through the peephole. Nothing. He opened the door and froze. A manila envelope lay on the welcome mat. Heart pounding, Ethan brought it inside and tore it open. Photos spilled out, blueprints, shipping manifests, all stamped with Vexen's logo. A note in Leah's precise handwriting. They're moving something big. Dock 17, midnight tomorrow. You in? Ethan swallowed hard, then his front window shattered. Glass rained down as something heavy thudded onto his floor, a brick, wrapped in paper. He snatched it up, hand shaking as he unfolded the note. 2 words, scrawled in red. Walk away. Ethan's blood turned to ice. They were already watching, and Leah Monroe had just made him a target. The unbreakable bond. Ethan stared at the brick lying amidst the shattered glass, his pulse roaring in his ears. The message was clear: back off, or worse would follow. For a split second, he considered doing exactly that. He could pack a bag, leave Chicago, and never look back. Then his phone buzzed again. Leah, you okay? The simple question snapped him out of his spiral. He typed back, fingers stiff with adrenaline. Ethan, someone just threw a brick through my window. Told me to walk away. The response was immediate. Leah, they're scared. Meet me at the safe house. Address coming. A location pinged on his phone, an industrial area near the docks. Ethan grabbed his jacket, his gaze lingering on the mess in his apartment. Whoever had done this knew where he lived. Knew he was involved. There was no turning back now. The safe house was a weathered warehouse, its exterior blending seamlessly with the other neglected buildings along the waterfront. Ethan knocked twice, then paused, then knocked once more, the pattern Leah had instructed. The door creaked open, revealing Leah in a black tank top, her side still bandaged, but her stance strong. She looked him up and down, assessing. You're not followed. Ethan shook his head. I took 3 buses and circled back twice. A ghost of a smirk touched her lips. Good. She stepped aside, letting him in. The interior was sparse: a folding table covered in maps and documents, a couple of chairs, a duffel bag in the corner. A single lamp cast long shadows against the exposed brick walls. Leah motioned for him to sit. We don't have much time. Vexen's moving a shipment tonight. People, women and kids. Ethan's stomach twisted. You're sure? She slid a photo across the table, a grainy surveillance still of a cargo container, its doors slightly ajar. Inside, shadowy figures huddled together. Ethan's hands clenched into fists. We have to stop this. Leah nodded. But we can't just walk in. We need proof, something undeniable. So, what's the play? Leah leaned forward, her voice low. We get inside, film everything, then leak it to the press and the feds at the same time, to many eyes for them to cover up. Ethan exhaled sharply. That's suicide. Only if we get caught. She held his gaze. You don't have to come. He knew she meant it, knew she'd go alone if he backed out. But the image of those people in the container burned behind his eyes. I'm in, he said. Midnight. Dock 17 loomed ahead, its floodlights cutting through the fog rolling in off the lake. Ethan and Leah crouched behind a stack of shipping crates, their breaths shallow. Leah handed him a small camera. Stick to the shadows. Film everything. If we get separated, meet back at the safe house. Ethan nodded, his mouth dry. They moved like ghosts, slipping past patrolling guards with practiced precision. Leah's military training was evident in every step, silent, deliberate. Ethan mirrored her, his heart hammering. Then they saw the container from the photo, now being loaded onto a truck. Leah gestured for Ethan to film as she edged closer. He zoomed in, capturing the faces of the guards, the Vexen logo on the truck's side. A sudden shout. One of the guards turned, spotting Leah. Ethan's blood turned to ice. Leah didn't hesitate. She lunged, disarming the guard in 2 swift moves. But more were coming. Ethan, go, she yelled. He hesitated, but the footage in his hands was more important than heroics. He turned and ran, the sounds of struggle fading behind him. Back at the safe house, Ethan paced, his mind racing. Leah hadn't returned, hadn't answered his texts. Then a key in the lock. The door swung open, and Leah stumbled in, blood trickling from her temple. Ethan rushed forward. "Jesus, I'm fine," she muttered, though her breathing was ragged. "Did you get it?" He held up the camera. "Everything." Leah's grin was fierce. "Then let's burn them to the ground." The fallout was swift. The footage went viral within hours. News outlets, federal agencies, everyone wanted answers. Vexen stock plummeted. Executives were arrested, and Ethan's former boss charged as an accomplice. In the chaos, Leah and Ethan became ghosts again unseen, unnamed. 3 months later, Ethan stood on the roof of a newly renovated building, the Chicago skyline stretching before him. The sign below read Monroe and Carter Construction. Leah joined him, handing him a coffee. "First project's done. On time and under budget." Ethan smirked. "Guess we make a good team." She bumped his shoulder with hers. "Guess so." Then, quietly, she pressed something into his hand, a dog tag. Engraved on it, "Never walk away." Ethan closed his fingers around it, warmth spreading through his chest. They hadn't just saved lives that night. They'd saved each other. This story proves that ordinary people can change the world one brave choice at a time. If it inspired you, hit like, share it with someone who needs courage today, and subscribe for more real-life heroes. Because the next life changed could be yours.